clear my throat. Good morning. Welcome to Community Voice. I'm your host, Keith Parris. I want to thank everybody for joining us this morning. Good morning, Debo. Good morning, Jermaine.
Good morning there, sir.
What's happening, y'all?
Hey, man, I'm doing pretty good, man. How about yourself?
I'm doing okay, man.
Yeah.
I'm doing okay. I'm doing okay.
Well, you always, do you come in every day and I greet you like, good morning, Bishop? That's because, I'm the pastor. Debo is the deacon.
Yeah, well, and let me
you the
shout out my
overseer.
membership to Nowhere Institutional Full Gospel Church of the Firstborn.
The deacon.
Debo the deacon.
I want to know how I become the deacon.
Well, you got to work your way up that church
Are you
ladder.
kidding me, sir?
Yeah, climbing
But
up the ladder.
Deacons and ministers are the only two ordinances of the church.
Yeah, I know.
Both ordained.
Yeah.
Well, we gonna demote Debo to the usher board.
And the crazy thing is, the reason why
Well.
they believe that
Put on that white
deacons
glove.
have outsized influence in a lot of churches is back in the day in the South, you had itinerant pastors. So I'd be pastoring two churches. So
Yeah.
I would pastor. I'd be here at Morning Star.
Yeah.
But the week I wasn't at Morning Star, the
Yeah.
deacons
Yeah.
would lead the service.
Mhm.
Right. And so they can do everything from
Yeah, and the deacons do a lot.
they can
more than-
baptize, they can do communion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So you try to get people to kind of understand that. But the whole thing is like, what do you call a minister?
Yeah.
There's some who say you shouldn't call them reverend. They got
Why not?
He's minister though, isn't he?
Yeah,
I mean, that's
yeah,
what he is.
minister. Some people will say elders because in the Bible it talks about call the elders of the church. And we,
But is the elders of the church speaking of in numbers or because
age?
he's
no, elders would be those people who were senior in the faith.
Right.
and that's what we're saying. I'm saying, in numbers when I say that because of their age.
They might be equivalent to our trustees.
So
Right.
So you got the ministers and reverends and then the elders, but ain't they all the same thing? It's just
No, I mean you have a hierarchy of responsibility.
okay.
Because the minister has to gain an elder's license, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Well, it depends on your
Denomination.
faith tradition,
Yeah.
In terms of how you acknowledge that, and let me just put it out here. I think that one of the great travesties in the modern church, not the ancient church, but the modern church, is just the subjugation of women in ministry.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And not fully embracing God called to women in ministry.
Yeah.
People will cite the Bible, but I have to put that in context in terms of the patriarchal structure, which means that it was male dominated, male led. And so, of course, it comes from a male perspective. And then, when we talked about when the Bible was written, the station of women in society, that's very different, especially when you look in American society where women are, and women are fully not where they should be in terms of equity and equality in this society. But if the prophet Joel was right, he said God will pour out his spirit
amongst all. I was about to say that because and that's where I was about to go. Because people would try to use the scripture, but then they forget about that scripture that says in the last days I'm gonna pour out my spirit amongst all. So that means that
first sermon preached in the church.
There you have it. So that means that anybody can be that vessel that God can use, whether you male or female.
And I know, and so when you hear me, sometimes I'm very purposeful with this, and I know it's Thursday. I'll do it real quickly. I'm very purposeful with this, I'm real purposeful with this in terms of the usage of language. The real usage of language and why language usage is so important, like images are so important, is that as long as we continue to look at it from a patriarchal perspective, it's going to be more difficult for us to achieve full equality and equity, again, when it comes to women in ministry. So I am a supporter of it. I do not think this, we do a lot of things, and I know people are bringing their congregations along. There are two congregations in terms of the Black Baptist tradition that I'm familiar with that have ordained women as deacons. And let me tell you, that's controversial for a whole lot of folks.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's the need in the Catholic Church for example, you don't have as many people becoming priests. So I went to a high school that was very progressive. The Cincinnati Dominican Sisters really were pushing for women in clergy and women being fully recognized in the Catholic Church. So we have a lot when we look at where we are in terms of women, and certainly women enjoy equity and equality in society. And religion is a micro society in terms of what people are able to do and what they so there it is for today. We'll be taking up an offering. Close the doors.
Amen. Lock all
Close the
doors.
doors.
You on usher duty. Pull out your white gloves there, Doc.
Lock the
I
doors.
said lock the doors.
Boy, y'all wrong. Y'all wrong.
Debo, y'all remember a few years back, you got in trouble. We were doing something. I don't know how we got to talk about old ladies and church candy.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
I didn't
And
get
Debo called in and started talking about Michelle and those comfortable white shoes.
Yeah, the usher shoes.
Those usher
Usher boy
But
shoes.
they don't wear them anymore.
No.
They
Some
have
of them do.
No, the nurses.
Yeah,
Yeah.
some
Yeah,
of
the
them.
The
nurses
nurses
do.
only wear the
Yeah.
white shoes
Yeah.
now. The ushers.
Oh, yeah, the
They
usher
done
being
stepped
black.
up. They
They
stepped up those.
Yeah,
Right, they
they-
stepped up the shoe game.
they
Speaking of
marched
shoe
it
game, what up, shoe game?
They marched it in, Doc.
This is shoe game here, man.
Oh, I know.
Man, this is
I know.
shoe game. But yeah, they you see them now, and I think that it's like either 2 inches or 3 inches. That's how high the heels can be. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, but they're not in the white shoes anymore. Barely
Man,
see
you didn't
white
get the memo on
gloves.
how
Shout
your
out to
heels
the
could
kitten
be.
heels.
Well,
To the
no,
kids,
see,
our kid
Kitten
heels.
heels.
I didn't get the memo because I'm normally on the instruments, man, when they walk in, man.
Oh,
You
okay.
focus.
Yeah,
Yeah, how do you do your shoe game over there on the organ, man?
Easy,
It's
man.
all
I be
coming up.
Man, I be Jordan up, though. I be Jordan up on Sundays with my suit.
Let me say this. We're gonna have an interview.
I like a good conversation
Let me
about
say
too now.
this though. I get to the point where I think my shoe game can be distracting
Oh, yeah.
because I sit there with I won't.
Hey, but I ain't gonna lie, man. One Sunday, man, I went and I bought these pair of red bottoms that I only wore like a few times.
Mm-hmm.
But I wore them to church and I said I wasn't gonna wear them again because it seemed like everybody was like, "Where you get them shoes from? Where you get them shoes? Where you get them shoes?" So I'm like, I don't even want that. I just want to walk into my thing and leave because I had issues.
Keith, and I want you to be totally honest. And I know you're a minister and all, so not to insinuate that you would mislead me. But
As you insinuated.
have you ever noticed? Well, I'll say I've noticed. Jermaine, you've seen it.
Mhm.
Supervisor Coggs, you've seen it. Preachers sit and they cross their legs a certain way where you can see.
Yeah,
Mhm.
They
see the bottom of their
shoes.
shoe.
They're
Yeah,
intentional.
yeah.
Very intentional.
Lawyer.
I plead the fifth.
when I was when I was at American Baptist, that was a real divide.
Yeah,
Whether or not you should cross your legs
Mm.
in the pulpit.
really.
And that was a real big issue. Now, if you're in the Middle East, if
Mhm.
people see the soles of your shoes, it's offensive.
Really?
Yeah. So it remember when George Bush was in Iraq and the guy got up and threw the shoe at him?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
I remember
yeah,
that.
yeah,
Yeah, that's a real insult
Yeah.
in the Middle East.
Mm.
I just
But-
thought he just needed
But
something
I spent a couple of dollars on mine, so I want you
Yeah,
to
you
see
better
it.
believe. Hey, man. Yeah.
And let me shout out Alex Brown because he the one to keep the shoe game straight
Okay.
down at the courthouse. So if you ever want to get your shoes hooked up, he'll hook
Oh
them
yeah.
up. We're joined in studio by County Supervisor Priscilla Coggs-Jones. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
You're the 13th district.
I am 13th district. Previously 10th district. Always would be 10th district.
You superstitious?
But it's near and dear to me.
No, but you
However,
Are you? Because when I went to Parkman, this is one of the little factoids at Parkman.
mhm.
The original principal there, Andrew Douglas, was superstitious.
Okay.
So we had no 13s in the school.
Oh my.
No 13.
No, I'm not superstitious. It's just that, you know, my mom held the 10th district down for 20 plus years. And when I came onto the board, it was still 10th district. So as a little girl, I remember a lot of things. And even to this day, the telephone number is still the same for 10th district. The lines of the district are still 10th district. So that's the only reason why I say that. I'm not superstitious.
How many years now you've been on the county board?
4.
It seems longer.
Man, that time has flown by though.
I know.
So you kind of came on right after COVID, or wow,
Yeah,
it seems like you've been on there longer.
well, you know, I've been in the game. My family been.
I
In the
know
game.
that.
I've always been there, just behind the scenes. You know,
One of the great conversations I had was with you and Alderwoman Pratt. You all talked about your childhood experiences during the campaign.
Yes.
Doing the alleys.
No, but hers was that they dropped her off on the corner. Remember?
Yes.
So they dropped her.
So go this way. The number should be going up. Do every door. Don't put it in the mailbox.
So when you talk about that, you've seen a lot in the last 4 years.
I have.
I mean, everything in terms of challenges that facing, budgetary challenges that's facing the county.
Yeah.
Also, we'll get to why you're here today, but just had a conversation briefly with County Executive Crowley, talking about what they're going to do with the safety building in the courthouse.
Mm-hmm.
So, there's some real challenges, maybe opportunities facing the county going forward, right?
It is, but I think with all challenges, there's a breakthrough somewhere for either a department or for the county overall. The safety building needs some TLC badly, especially from the pictures and articles that have kind of come forth. And, the staff needs it. They complain of quite a bit different things, ceilings crumbling and falling, rodents and things to that nature. So the overall safety, for our staff and those who occupy those buildings, for sure.
So did we have an opportunity when we were getting all of the American Rescue money to begin to start addressing those issues? Or were we just filling, budget holes?
We honestly, Keith, probably was just filling budget holes at that time, to be perfectly honest. And what is before us is just some things that are kind of really in need of some attention and addressing it in this response. So I believe that we probably could have done better. However, we're dealing with what is before us right now.
And then, we talked about deferred maintenance, which this is probably in terms of putting things off where we probably need to focus on it.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Earth Day
2025.
Talk to us about Earth Day 2025.
Earth Day 2025 is something that is coming to us soon, very soon. April 22nd is the official day where a lot of folks in the community chooses to partake in any type of platform that they choose, right? So in my previous years, it has been about collaborating with different organizations, doing the cleanups, getting the neighbors engaged, getting the business owners engaged, and so forth. And through the years, with the cleanups also came beautification efforts as well. This is where donations, whether it was from the city or the county, providing flowers, and we're doing different flower arrangements in the 53206 neighborhoods.
You talk about the whole beautification piece of it.
Mm-hmm.
First, we got to deal with the cleanup,
right?
And we a couple of weeks ago, because you text me right when we were having the conversation.
I was actually on the road traveling back from Minnesota. I was listening to the radio. Chandra was like, "You need to listen now." Right,
and you and we were talking about the issue of litter.
Yes.
That's part of, because the ambiance of a city. We used to have the moniker, and maybe we are still, relatively speaking, people would come to Milwaukee and talk about how clean
I know
Milwaukee was.
I've heard the stories.
Yeah.
However, I haven't witnessed it.
Well, I think as we got on, I always talk about the socialism we're able to afford.
Mm-hmm.
That now, if you're looking at where, and this at the county level, our budgets are almost stagnant, right? And you can only do 2%, whatever formula you use. Mm-hmm. So it's not like you can do these massive tax increases, and I don't even know politically how palatable that would be.
Right.
Right. But So the cleanup is part of it, but then you also mentioned the next step of that is the beautification.
It's the beautification, and kind of piggyback a little bit. I'm also working with other levels of government to address this issue as well. Working with State Representative Kaylin Haywood and creating legislation to where they can be an increase of number of cleanups along the highway, because the state contracts the county to do those pickups.
Now they used to have the
Yes,
residents of CRC, right?
Mm-hmm. And they have participated in my cleanups in previous years as well.
Well, a lot of that now is staffing issues.
Correct. Absolutely. So not only just working the front end, but the back end as well. And in addition to this year of the beautification effort, what I'm looking to do is hold business store owners, liquor stores, community establishments, churches, corner stores, gas stations accountable for keeping their area clean, because a lot of these stores in our community is a huge contributor to the amount of trash that we have in our neighborhoods, right? So if we can really tackle that and set the tone, and they can set the presence of the store front is clean, it's free of litter, it has a beautification component, it gives a different impression of what we would love to see, of a ripple effect into our neighborhoods as well.
Why is the litter, when we talk about an environmental issue, how much of it is like the impact it has on us physically, and then how much of it is the impact it might have on us emotionally?
All across the board, from the rooter to the tutor, right? What we see is what we feel. And if we are seeing an amount of litter in our neighborhoods as we're traveling to school, coming home from work, etc., it really sets a huge impression on your mood, right? Even with beautification and artwork and lighting, that helps set the tone as well. One thing that I love about traveling from King Drive and Walnut and going north up to Burleigh, you see the murals that are in the 6th district that Alderwoman Coggs have been intentional about for forever. If we can get that multiplied in the neighborhoods and the community, could you imagine how it would just slightly change or start the track of change? One of the things that I've advocated for at the county level with our Milwaukee County Transit is that with some of the new bus shelters that they're building, right, to provide more lighting, to do more artwork, to just bring a sense of a different mood that will set upon our kids, the people who travel, driving, walking, taking a bus, etc. It just sets a different presence and tone in how you feel and how you view things.
Earth Day was created to deal with environmental issues. Now, this goes back to the 70s. In terms of this, I'm a little concerned on a national level with all of the talk of deregulation and what that looks like in terms of the environment. We're dealing with plastics, and as you know, we were dealing with late WNOV here just because of all the paper. And in America, do you think there should be more recycling?
There should be more recycling. There should be more education on it as well. I don't think people take it too serious as far as the impact that we're experiencing with global warming. You can really feel the effect of that. You can't tell what season is which now. You don't know if it's summer, winter, spring, or fall, because it's just kind of happening as a course of impact due to the glaciers melting and etc. And so I think it's important that we work within our powers that we have to not contribute to that overall.
That's 53206 part of your district.
53206, 53205, 53212.
Okay.
So 13th district runs from 20th and Lloyd, roughly to about 20th and Capitol. And then we're going to travel all the way east over to Riverside High School.
So are we're just outside your district here, or?
Probably kitty corner. So I'll probably across the street here.
Okay. And I say that because, we hear a lot about particularly 53206 and the environment. But what we see a lot of times, you can drive and you go like, wow. But then you also see where people are doing development.
You do. You have seen an increase in that as well. But you to me, like overall, I've seen an increase of quite a few different things in our community. I see residents. As a matter of fact, as I was on my way here, there was a gentleman right here on 20th and Hopkins at that used tire shop.
Mhm.
He was out there picking up the trash. So when I leave here, I'm going to double back and give him a picker litter, because I keep picker litters in my trunk when I see folks on a daily basis, whether I'm traveling to my mom's or dropping my son off to school or to the grocery store. And if I see folks picking up trash, I definitely give them a picker litter.
And this is probably a city issue.
Oh, this is definitely a city issue, hands down, 100%. And I'm quite frankly irritated with the laziness of not being proactive in this situation, right?
Well, one of the things I was talking about is the city issue is in the past we had more garbage receptacles for people to actually put garbage in.
Mm-hmm.
Now that could be a labor issue in terms of who has to go out and empty them,
Yeah.
but they were available.
Mm-hmm.
But now when you say lazy,
I'm not. So look, this is what I'm saying, right? Maybe lazy wasn't the right word. Let me run that back, please. Okay. Look, don't get upset. But this is the thing, right?
Help you out, Supervisor. As Keith alluded to and spoke to the lake NOV out here,
Mm-hmm.
if you look, they came and they moved all the trash out the sewer and they left the trash. And so now if it were to rain today, we're going to flood again. So it's like, okay, you fixed the initial problem, but what caused it, you left it there.
Right there. That's what I'm saying. Being proactive, right? Why didn't you just scoop the trash up and put it in the back of the truck?
Right. You got 5 vehicles out there. One of them has this big suction thing on it, and you didn't even use that.
So that's what I'm saying. Thank you.
I got you.
But that's what I'm saying in a nutshell. And we need to hold these store owners and liquor stores accountable for making a living off of the community and not necessarily being a return of investment for us. And what I would like to see in this campaign and pledge that I'm doing is that I would like to see store owners and community establishments and so forth to sign the commitment to pledge to state that they will be responsible for the amount of trash that is not only in the front of their store, but surrounding that store, doing a beautification effort in front of that store in whatever capacity if that may be. If that is putting more lighting out, if that's having some floral pots out, just show that you care for where you are doing business at.
Why is it important to get the youth involved? And I'm going to kind of preface this with, if you look at young people,
Yeah.
they don't smoke. And part of why they don't, there's some, but they don't smoke. And part of that is the campaign we did when they were very little against tobacco. I mean, you ain't smoking weed, but but I'm saying,
I
but
see why they walk
right.
Oh.
I was at a joint last night. Not a joint. I was at a.
Yeah. Fix that.
Clean it up.
Right.
Clean it up, Pastor. Clean it up.
But I was at an event last night and somebody was blowing it up. I'm like, but the idea of smoking,
Yeah.
and I mean, kids are virulent anti-smoking, right? I'm sure they're getting on their parents if they smoke. Would that be the same kind of education we need to do in terms of litter and keeping the city clean?
100%, and it can also follow through with job creation as well. I have my son out there cleaning up with me, and we did. I think the first year I was in office, we did Sunshine Park right there on 14th and North, and we did it that entire Saturday. I kid you not, a couple hours later, it was trash right back. And he's like, see, that's why I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this.
A lot of it's blowing.
And it is blowing from where?
That's a good question.
The stores. It's like 4 stores within 1 mile radius of, from, 12th and North to roughly about 15th or 16th and North Avenue. Far too much, right? We don't need that many stores. We don't need that many corner stores. You know what I'm saying? So, like, if we could be more strategic in where we're placing these establishments that is causing such a huge amount of trash in our community. That's a way that we can be more strategic in what we want to see.
Okay, we have a caller. Caller, welcome to the program. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, kid.
Take us off speaker, man. Hello?
Okay.
Yeah, all right.
How's that? Much better. Yeah. Oh, man. City of Milwaukee, like you said about the trash, when they stopped the drain, they should have contacted DPW so that sanitation could come and pick that up. And a lot of times they don't do what they're supposed to do because they're too busy just trying to get it done and go to the next one.
Right. Right. I think it is a resource issue. I think it's part of it, not all of it, but part of it really is a resource issue. Yeah. It is.
It is. And I applaud that young lady for the job that she's doing. Stay on them because the community, if it looks better, it feels better, it makes you feel better.
Yes.
And we do it all the time because I go all around the state of Wisconsin, you know. And the point is that their areas are a lot cleaner.
Yes, it is.
But at the same time, when you get closer to inner cities that's inside the state, that's where it's less concerned because people are more likely to just say, well, hey, it's not mine, you know, whatever, it's not my fault. I didn't put it down there. But sometimes, like you say, I just started a community cleanup in our area off of Capitol.
Okay.
And getting these young men and young ladies out here, you know, the kids. And during the summer, when it gets warmer, I'm going to hold a fitness challenge. And this is the encouragement that I give them to, you know, if they live helping clean your area, whether it's yours or not, at least you're doing something for yourself and your family and your community.
Absolutely. So, and thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Keep doing a good job.
You talked about, though, you're working in collaboration with the city and how it is. Now, I think we have to understand scale, that the immensity of the problem, we may or may not always have the resources on a government level. So now we're doing where you're enlisting people in the community. Because really, it is our responsibility.
It is our responsibility, but we could definitely get the support and the help from the different resources that, you know, that are supposed to be there for us too. You know, you have to match the energy. And since I've been on the board, I've done some due diligence with different departments of the city of Milwaukee. One of them is Department of Forestry. Last year, I had a big campaign for overgrown vegetation in our neighborhoods. A lot of times, folks think that it's a tree, and it's really a weed. It's a thick weed, and it's like. If we can cut those down, you know, that would create a safer community for us. If you're walking up and down the street, I could give you a tree right now that has overgrown vegetation and it's encroaching not only on the sidewalk, but also on the street. It's a huge bush. Cut that down. That's a safety issue for women and children who are getting out the car to go into their homes. You know, so it's as you can see, I do have a little pet peeve with the city.
Sounds like.
However, I'm taking it on, you know, within my platform and what I can do to address these situations.
But I think the conversation has to start, and then from that conversation, some kind of corresponding action.
Yes.
And I think that it is it's like when you were talking about it is lazy for me when a person, all they have to take is 2 steps.
And just shovel that pile of trash up to prevent another lake in front of WNLV.
Right.
I mean, come on. And that's where the training comes in at, right? The training and hiring from our community as well. I feel as though if we have enough folks who work from our community, they will understand the frustration that they have when they're walking outside their home, if it's a lake or if it's whatever. If it, oh, you took
All righty.
Tumbleweed.
All righty.
Weeba Dirty.
I'm just saying, though,
just
like,
saying.
you know, when I've done my cleanups, let's say I was right here on Richardson Center, right? And it's a open lot there, and then right next door to it is a liquor store. So I have my bucket, my pickle there, and I'm picking it up. And this man, he was standing there watching me. And then he finally comes over and he says, "Sister, what you doing this for? Community service?" I said, "No, I'm doing it because I'm sick and tired of seeing all this crap when I drop my son off to school." He says, "Well, baby girl, you got another one? Because I can help you because I didn't put all of them there." You get what I'm saying?
Wow.
Yeah,
pretty part of your sentence.
Right.
You trying to work off something?
Right, you know?
You trying to work off something?
Wow.
I don't see your ankle break.
Right.
Or the orange uniform on the side of the road
So it's like, you know,
with your doc number on the back.
I feel like if we want to see the change, we have to be the change.
Yeah.
And with that, you know, it has to be a course of action, not acting at the end of the day.
So we need a break, or
So we take a break. You take your phone calls.
good?
It's on you.
Okay.
So we take a break.
Yep, you're inside Community Voice. We're joined in the studio by County Supervisor Priscilla Coggs-Jones of the 13th Supervisory District. And we're here talking about Earth Day and our cleanup and beautification. Callers, we see you. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back.
That soul-stirring gospel Easter bash is gonna be a bash you don't wanna miss at Abundant Face, located at 7830 West Good Hope Road. The Canton Spirituals. Come on now, Spencer Taylor and the Highway QCs. The fabulous Lucky Brothers, Pastor Tim Rogers and the Phillips is gonna be in the house. Bishop Neil Robeson, Reverend R.L. Bush and the revived son, Willie Rogers, Tiffany Terry, Willie Banks Jr. and the Messengers. Curtis Eubanks. Now get your tickets at the New Kids Mortuary. Call 414-447-6
inside Community Voice on WNOV 860 AM and 106.5 FM with your host, Keith Parris.
Welcome back to Community Voice, and we're joined in studio by Supervisor Priscilla Coggs-Jones. Caller, we thank you for your patience. Welcome to the program.
Oh, yes. Good morning. I notice a lot of this trash also come from these slumlords with these raggedy duplexes. And I have noticed so many times that when I be seeing these inspectors, they'll run right past it. But when it comes to the homeowners, they on them like, sugar, honey, iced tea on horse boo-boo. And then when you ask them, well, why you ain't doing all that, that's where a lot of that trash come from, is these slumlords. And, some of these slumlords is these city officials. And I feel like if you got to clean up after these people, they need to move out to downtown Waukesha, or they can move down to Walsall or up on them reservations where they're accustomed to all that, because they don't need that here. And the only reason it's allowed over here is because it's dealing with a certain community that's being neglected. Because if you go to any other community around here, they on you if you drop dog poop. It's only allowed where it's black folks, and that's wrong. And it's not fair to the homeowners. And if these city officials feel like they can't do nothing by being slumlords, maybe you should let them live in your house, and you can move to downtown Waukesha with the rest of them, or down there up to Sheboygan, and try that there. Have a good day.
Caller, welcome to the program.
Good morning, Steve.
Good morning.
How y'all doing this morning?
Good.
What's
good.
happening?
This is that young lady in there talking. She doing the right thing, man. She's doing the right thing. I'm gonna tell you, she's doing the right thing. I stay over here on 28th Street,
That's
on
Mississippi.
28th and Chamber. This is Mississippi. Everybody know me by the name of
Yep,
Mississippi. I stay on 28th Street. I get up every morning, not one morning, every morning. I go out there, try to clean up around the neighborhood in front of my house. But I don't get see nobody grown out there trying to help you. The grown people out there laying back in the bed, all asleep, lazy. They ain't got no job, man. They say they got a job. They ain't got no job. If they had a job, they'd get up and clean up in front of their house before they go to work. If they like that job. I like to, I'm not the dirtiest person in the city, but I like to see the city like old clean. I believe we can get a little more clean there.
I agree.
Where I come from Mississippi. And you go down to Mississippi, where I come from, you don't see no trash. You see grass growing, but you see leaves blowing, but you don't see no trash like paper. You go to the town where I come from, you don't see no paper. If you see some paper in there, I would buy it in this town. But Milwaukee, when I come here now, it was clean. It was clean. I drive. I ride all over Milwaukee.
Mm-hmm.
Or go out in the suburbs. I don't want to cry when I go out there because it be so clean. I come back in here, man, look like the whole world changed.
I know.
But young lady, keep doing what you're doing, and I'm gonna try to keep fighting these people over here on 28th Street to keep things clean over here.
Thank you.
28th Chamber and 28th Burlight up there by that store on that corner.
Yep.
It's the dirtiest thing I ever seen in my life.
Okay.
And I walks up through there. I just walked up through there just to see. But you say something to them people up there, they get mad with you. They get mad because, hey, it's right out there in the back of their house. They can't say something to them guys, but they're scared. They say they're probably scared. They think so. But it's not the idea of being scared. It's the idea you want your community clean.
Yep.
So you keep doing the good work down there. And if you need some help, call me up. I'll come down there and fight with you. I'll talk to you later. Have a nice, beautiful morning. And people on 2A Street, get out of that house, smoking that dope, and get out there and get on the streets in front of the house to clean up.
28 Burlight.
Yeah.
28 Burlight.
I got
28 Burlight. Come up 28 Burlight, you will see some dirt.
I've done cleanups over there. Yes, sir.
I was going to ask, are other supervisors also doing this or doing something similar to this?
I will be doing the presentation for our county board day, and a part of the presentation, I wanted to do a photo collage of different county supervisors doing community cleanups. And I will say that, yes, there has been some county supervisors that have come and done some cleanups with me. Shout out to Supervisor State Representative Suquana Taylor, Supervisor Kathleen Vincent. Like I said, CRC has come out to do some cleanups with us. Supervisor Juan Miguel Martinez and Gomez Tom. So I would say yes. However, but if we could get that across the board of other electeds doing community cleanups, I know that Alderwoman Coggs does community walkthroughs in her district. I know that Alderman Stamper has the Big Clean initiative in collaboration with West Care, with Travis Landry over there. So I believe that folks is playing their part, but we need to push the envelope a little bit more.
Caller, welcome to the program. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
Good morning.
Hi. Good morning. I'm fine. How's everybody?
Good.
Okay. You are on my topic this morning because I call the city. Where I live is right straight in the middle of the inner city, like between 27th and Hopkins, and just come on up to 27th down Our Avenue, that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, if you come through, and you can even move over to the side on the other side of the cemetery, most of the houses are vacant, boarded up, and the city property, empty lot. And some of these houses have been vacant for years, and they're boarded up, and then people throw trash in the back. You know, and the city knows this. And they say they got a big surplus. The city knows it. And it seems like every time you look on TV, you got to see the raggedy inner city. And to me, that's saying blackface. You know, or you'll drive down far enough and then you'll see where people start branching off where they won't come down this way. But like I said, my neighborhood is pretty empty, but they still got boarded up houses. So why don't they just tear them down and make a park light? And then the liquor store. We got a liquor store guy. He sells liquor, but he built him a house in Waukesha. Now, you're right when you say they're making money off of our community. They are not participating in the health of our community, but giving them liquor or that vapor stuff, whatever they vape. They get all that old crazy stuff. And then they throw the bottles in your yard. I got a big fence. They throw the bottles over the fence. And then on the side, he's got empty liquor bottles broke up because they'll throw them into the break. And I didn't approach him before. He knows better. He built a house in Waukesha. He knows better.
And you said, what store is this, ma'am?
It's a liquor store. S&S liquor. It's like 31. Let me see, 3162, something like that, on 27th Street.
27th.
Yeah.
You said Hopkins?
No. It's on 27th Street, period, in the 3100 block, like 3162.
31st, 27th and Hour.
Okay.
Right. And he goes, don't pick up nothing, but, and what they do is they family. They do not hire people outside of their family. Okay. They make the money for themselves. To me, they're not really helping the community. All they're doing is making our people sicker and sicker and sicker, because I get to see them broke all down. And then when you come in the neighborhood, naturally you're going to sneer. And it's embarrassing. And when you say a building inspector, because I've been here, I'm 76. I've been here all my life. I went to grade school. I went to La Follette. I went to Robert Fulton. I went to Rufus King. I watched this neighborhood was nice, so they built that expressway and moved these white people out. And then when we started, when the jobs moved out, then we started really seeing, the worst of the worst. And if they got a surplus, how come they're not using? We pay taxes. Well, how come they're not using that?
Let me ask you this, Supervisor. How much of it then is, we've been kind of tongue in cheek alluding to Alderman Westmoreland's statement, but how much of it does the community have a responsibility?
We have
in terms of how we view it. We're putting it on city services. Seems like city and county services can't keep up with. Part of it is behavior. So how do we change the attitudes, or is it because that might be part of it?
I believe messaging and campaigning needs to be more pushed, right? We talked about earlier in the show about growing up, they had the DARE campaigns and the no smoking campaigns, and it kind of, made our kids, or at that time, probably me because I was that age, my parents not to smoke, or my aunts and uncles, etc. So I feel like that push needs to be more explained, and education needs to also be at the forefront, because this is a domino effect, of our overall health, with the global warming and how, things will change because of that. And we are a contributing factor to that as well. So this is not just something local that we're talking about. This is something on a magnitude for the overall health of our children's children in the future, and what they will have to deal with as well. So
appreciate it, caller. Thank you.
What about a job campaign? Because bottles, you can get money off the bottles. So if you can get money off these bottles, then I'm sure people that drink a lot of alcohol won't throw them away.
Well, you going back in the day.
Well, that's how we made our pennies. That's why
the
mom didn't give us no money.
We call that bottle hustling.
Our mama and dad did not give us money. We picked up those bottles and we cashed them in.
You go through the alley. You
That's
might have
right.
a wagon. You might have some man. You get those. And if you got a 32 ounce, that was a quarter. That's big money. That was big. But everything else.
And we had cement.
And I know there were some states like Michigan where they pay you to recycle cans. Yeah.
See? That's what I'm talking about. There's some money there, and we got a surplus. It's money because these people that make the money,
has a surplus.
They live good.
Well, hold on. Let's be clear. The state has a surplus. The county and the city, they're dealing with some budget challenges, but the state does have a surplus.
Okay, then we got to get some of that money. Right. That's all I got to say, because it don't make no sense. People can get a job. They can get people a kid a job. Yep. The kid will do it for a little change.
All right.
Okay.
Appreciate you.
Oh, the state takes our money. Yes, right, okay. Absolutely.
thought you said you had to go. I want to do a whole thing on the things that people say. I'm always listening to language. And one of these things that has it seems to be with us, it has such a legacy, is it don't make sense. That don't make sense. That's who was it? Too Short? Who said if it don't make dollars, it don't make sense?
I want to say yes.
Shoot, that's Too Short or Q-Tip?
Q-Tip? No, I don't think that was Q-Tip. Maybe it was
Too Short. Too Short. Okay. Caller, welcome to the program. Good morning.
It was DJ Quick that
DJ Quick. Thank you.
He was in the right era.
For all the hip hop heads listening, thank you.
DJ Quick, baby.
If it don't make dollars, it don't make sense.
But now I want to piggyback off a lot of it. Basically, the guy that said that 27th and Burleigh isn't cleaned up. We did a cleanup like maybe a couple years ago where we worked from Fond du Lac all the way down to Capitol, from 27th and Burleigh all the way up to 35th and Burleigh, and it got back dirty. So most of the time it comes from the people that lives in that neighborhood that do it. And I have a beef with the city of Milwaukee too. I used to work for them. I was a garbage person. They used to clean up the areas. So I know basically that it's mainly the people that stay in the area.
Okay.
And that's what we want to do. We want to empower the people. Make sure that they have pride in where they live and where they're growing their family and building and things like that. And I think if we can get that message across to those residents, whether they're homeowners or renters, then we won't see such a buildup of trash in our community. Because I was just on 12th and Center the other day, and this lady threw out a whole black bag. I don't know if it was from the beauty supply store, the liquor store, but it was just like, why couldn't you just waited till you got home? And put that in your trash can that's in front of your house or something, like.
Man, I was in the drive-through. And it's crazy because the trash can was right there at the end of the drive-through. And they like right here at the window getting their food. So as they got their food, they opened the door and it was trash from like Wendy's or something, but they was in a whole different restaurant parking lot. So they took trash from a whole different restaurant and put it there after they got their food and drove off. And I pulled up and I looked at it and I reached in, I grabbed some tissue out of my car and grabbed the bag and put it in the garbage. But I thought to myself, this has to be the craziest in the world because the garbage can was right. You driving right by the garbage can to leave out the drive-through.
It's a crisis situation for sure.
Supervisor and the rest of the panel here. Brother Troy was driving in his car. He said he could not call. He left a note. Jermaine has that note.
Yeah, this note says, great discussion. Our neighborhoods are filthy, and too many of us are trifling and lazy. Brother Troy. There's a message from Brother Troy, so it ain't from me. It's from Brother Troy.
He right.
You brothers need to tread lightly.
Yeah, Doc. Jesus. Oh, Weaver Dirty.
Oh my God.
Can I just say one more thing though before I go, guys? It also is on the city of Milwaukee because it's like a high turnover rate. They rather get rid of their good employees and not have the people work. So it's also on them as well. Because me being an injured worker still doesn't mean that I couldn't qualify for another position, but they'd rather get rid of you than to keep you.
All right. Appreciate you.
Okay.
You're listening to Community Voice. We have in studio with us County Supervisor Priscilla Coggs-Jones. Still with us? You got that? All right. Another caller. We'll grab you, caller, right after the break. We'll be right back.
FM with your host, Keith Parris.
You had me think about Dave Chappelle in Undercover Brother. You want to know what that button was?
It's more like Rush Hour with
push the button. Push the button.
Push the button.
Caller, welcome to the program. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
Yes, I'm good. Thank you. My comment is one of the biggest problems that I see with the litter in Milwaukee is the ineptness and the impetus of the people that are running Milwaukee County, those aldermen. They are uneducated. They're just like this Democratic Party. They don't know what to do. As the Democrats don't know what to do with Trump. They need to be more innovative and creative and listen to some people like Al and some other people in the community and get the hell out there themselves and help clean up. Because we're paying too much taxes for our neighborhoods to be the way they are. Thank you.
And can I just say something?
In the mic.
That caller said, I totally understand your frustration and I hear you. But in addition to holding our electeds accountable, we also have to look at the department heads too. And that was one thing I learned as I navigated through this role on being intentional and really wanting to get something done is really applying pressure on those different department heads. So that was Department of Public Works, Department of Forestry, reaching out to my state representative.
Neighborhood services.
Neighborhood services. I'm a firm believer in working with all levels of government to addressing our concerns and so forth. And I really believe it's really up to us to do the work as well, you know. And I believe that once that energy is matched and seen, like I've seen, right, I believe that we can definitely have a turnaround and a difference and take it back to the 70s, right, when you were talking about, Keith, when there wasn't any trash in our neighborhoods and
we could breathe, but it was clean. You might not be able to breathe, but those streets were clean. You know, I don't know if it was a trade-off, but I'm telling you, the air was bad. It was really bad. So, but you're right, it's both.
Yeah. So, but thank you, caller, for pointing that out.
Caller, welcome to the program. Good morning.
Hello. What's happening? Keep this Tojo.
Hey, what up, Tojo? Long time no talk to, man.
Man, yeah. I just been kicking, but y'all on my type of subject though. You know, when we was kids, we had a job at the Commandos cleaning up alleys.
Yes, sir. And
that was my first job. I got a paycheck, but the alleys was cleaner than they are now.
Yep.
So really what it was the people that own homes didn't care about paying to keep their alleys clean. But we had bigger rats, though. We had bigger rats. We had rats when the sun go down. We had rats everywhere. That's probably because it was more food. But I be saying all that good thing I be saying the same thing when it comes to like the stores, but it's almost like giving the stores a tariff. But they ain't gonna do it but jack the price up because the people the one that dropping the garbage out the store when they come out the store. You know what I'm saying? It's the people that throwing their garbage out their cars when they get to the, especially at the stop signs and on the way on the highway. They throwing. So I've been doing Milwaukee dumping for about 15, 16, 17 years. I've been to the county, I've been to the state, and I've been to the city. They'll take your ideas and run with them and do something else with them, but that's just like trying to live somebody else's dreams out. It ain't working. The garbage that sit on our streets sit there too long. It would make no difference who put it there. Somebody needs to pick it up. You know what I'm saying? It's like I'm sitting in front of some garbage now on Palmer Chambers. They emptied out the house. They set it there. I know the garbage truck that been through here. The city been through here. Somebody been through here and seen it, but it just sit there too long. It's a mattress and a couch sitting out on Burleigh, and it just sit there too long. It's like when it's a car accident, in the other cities, when they clean up the accident, send everybody a ticket. In Milwaukee, they just push it to the side. If they push it to the side, and you got bumpers everywhere. And I believe that's on all of the county, the city, you know. And I love Priscilla. I worked with Priscilla. I remember Priscilla first did that. We did it at Victory of Violence Park. But what it is we don't need the politicians to do the cleanup. We need the people to come and clean up their own neighborhood. You know, I had to stop Marquette University. They wanted to bring the news people on First and Burleigh to clean up. I came on the block and said, man, what we need them to come clean up our neighborhood for? Like, clean up after yourself. You know what I'm saying? And it's rough because, like, when they say mind is a terrible thing to waste, waste is a terrible thing for the mind. And also, Keith, listen, the people like on 11th and Atkinson, 13th and Atkinson, the man under the bridge across the street from all that garbage by running rebels, they don't care about what we talked about. They ain't got no place to stay. They on dope. They'll throw garbage forever. So we got to help them too. You know what I'm saying? So it's like more than just clean. You know, we had to clean up, and I say, man, this cleanup really is like a celebration because we clean up, then we barbecue. So that means ain't nobody got that dirty because ain't nobody took no bath. You know what I'm saying? So we didn't get real deep down into the dirt. You know what I'm saying? We just do enough to put it out there to say we cleaned up, but then if you go through the alleys, there's garbage everywhere.
It's terrible. Yeah, them alleys look bad.
I got a thing though, because my psychosis requires a certain level of orderliness. You know, litter just kind of but I don't know, maybe I need to talk to somebody about it. Tojo, what did y'all do with all the garbage from the cookout?
Hey, check this out. Hey, listen. Go past both of my buildings on 17th and Axton and 27th Street. You got to do the whole block. Now, the one that's the building closest to 17th, they kind of over garbage us. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes it's hard to say, hey man, we gonna keep cleaning up after these people. But I take pictures and send them to Malala and say, hey, somebody needs to do this. But we clean up the whole area and go across the street too. But sometimes it's difficult to keep cleaning up after everybody else, and ain't nobody else saying nothing. You know what I'm saying? Hey, you know, my mama made us do the whole block. Do it. Yeah. Not just in front of our house, the whole block. We used to look at her, but you know, you couldn't look at her, you know what I'm saying, and let her see you look at her, but you be saying, what you mean? But I understand what she's saying now. If they won't do it, when I clean up in front of my house, my guy told me, he said, man, you're going to have to stop doing it because now my wife got me out here. You know what I'm saying? But that's how I do it. One person do it and another person do it. Everybody will start doing it.
And that's what we want to see. We want to see not only the residents, but like we talked about earlier, the business owners, liquor stores, corner stores, gas station, whomever, because it's a ripple effect of, you know, if we see one person taking pride, then hopefully it'll set the tone and impression on others.
Right. And then I love putting people up on stuff. But you know, I'm 60 years old now. And when you go down there and put people up on something, they'll pay somebody else that won't pay you for your knowledge. I'm like, so I had to pull back from that. But I'll tell you one little secret about dumping. The city will pay me to clean out a house. And I clean the house out. I even had that city thing on the side of my car. Then I'll go through another alley and take the city thing off my car, and I'll dump it in a spot that say, do not dump, it's a city property. And then the city will pay somebody else or me to come pick that same garbage up because I take pictures of garbage and post it on my page, Milwaukee Dumping. And sometimes, and I also a scrap, I said, this is the same garbage. Wow. They switching the garbage out and getting paid because they ain't got no system where you clean out the house and you go to the dump and slide off to say, I dropped that dump off. So really, it's like a hustle. We just keep dumping the garbage all over the city, and then one of us don't get paid, if not the same of us get paid.
All right, appreciate that, man.
That tidbit of information getting out.
Right.
But I think it's also, when we talk about a community attitude, I think like a lot of tire dumping, and certainly Alderwoman Pratt, she was kidding me. She said, I know I'm the dump. I said, no, but people are driving in from other communities. Unless the community has an attitude not in my neighborhood, like we have about other things, maybe we might see a
And
change.
that's what we talked about, messaging, right? We got to get the messaging out there. We have to get, and I feel like from the amount of callers that we have, it's enough people that care out here too.
Mhm.
You know, and like I said, I ride around with picker litters in my trunk. Because if I see it, I'm going to go ahead and take care of it. Or if I see someone else picking up with their hands, here's a picker litter, you know, thank you. But that needs to be more of a norm as well, too.
Caller, welcome to the program, man.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I want to first and foremost say, if I could for a second, that the word said that the strong are the better infirmities of the weak. So the weak-minded being those that choose to just throw trash out there for one thing. But I will say this also, that I've learned the few years that I lived in Milwaukee, which has been all my life, 66 years as of yesterday.
Happy belated.
Thank you. I've come to find that the city of Milwaukee, along with the county, tends to find money for the things they want to find money for. And I say that to say this. This may or may not work, but, you know, we have guys sitting downtown and out the house corrections sitting out there, man, for traffic violations, and we feeding them and giving them heat and everything else. And when you look at places like, let's say, we'll say Burleigh, we'll say Keith down to maybe North Avenue on like 8th Street in Burleigh, all that stuff along the side expressway. Why wouldn't we take these guys that sit on the house correction that we feed around here and house them for a while that got minor violations, and put them out there, let them pick the paper up, and put a stipulation in. You know, we're not going to sit here and put a bunch of guards on you and stuff like that. You're going to get on the bus. We're going to go out there and do what we do. And in the event that you choose to leave or escape, we put you down for felony escape. And now you're a felon now. You know, and that's something that may or may not work. But we have the resources, and they'll probably say, well, we don't have the money. But again, the city along with the county find the money for the things they want to find the money for.
Well, I think that they did have correctional officers who would go out. I think there's an issue out of CRC in terms of staffing, right? And you would need to have adequate staff to make sure you maintain security there in the facilities, and then, you know, taken out, because they used to also clean up the Summerfest grounds.
Right.
I talked to correctional officers, but you can see now, because they're doing forced overtime, so they're dealing with some issues there in terms of being able to have security. And all you need is one person to go out, as you say, escape and do a crime, and people going, well, where were you out? He was cleaning up the freeway. He shouldn't have been out. So, but I have not talked to Chantel, but I'm thinking that that's part of it, because a lot of those programs they give you, if you do classes or you do other things, they take time off. Right. So it would be a benefit, but I think for them, it's just more staffing. And being able to have an adequate staff to be able not only to make sure that these residents who are out are secured, but make sure the residents who are still in are secure. So
that makes sense. Thank you very much. Have a great day now.
Thank you.
We were talking about this a couple weeks ago, I believe it was, when the alderperson was in. Whatever happened to the green garbage cans that was everywhere, where you could just put trash in the receptacle?
I think because that's the question. You probably see less because you need people. Any. Yeah, but you need people to dump them, because there's one can out in front of an establishment. I'm not going to call the establishment, that every time we go out there, that can is full. People are putting garbage in that can. It's on King Drive, but you have to have the city then come out and regularly pick it up.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? But then we talking about other things. We want our garbage picked up on time. You know, and Tojo was talking about the old NYC program back in the day, became CETA, all those things where you could hire youth during the summer. I don't know if they're still using some youth serving agencies who get that money, and I think it's Earn and Learn now.
Earn and Learn.
That they might be able to take young people out. But back in the day, the commandos, if you were 12 and 13, you got paid to play on the playground. If you were 14, you had to clean the alleys. Yep. Caller, welcome to the program.
Hey, good morning. Good morning, young folks. You know, I'm about to kind of off the guy that was just there, and you know, the guys in jail and house correction. I stayed in Mississippi for a while, and he had a lot of the guys from the local jailhouse go out, clean the freeways around up and down the road, and it's you know, it's a nice gesture for the fellas to get them out. But one thing, I own a couple of commercial properties, and I have a big problem with folks dumping in my area, and I always clean it up. I call the city for, and for special pickup, and I have to pay for that stuff. The biggest, and then I caught a few guys dumping on my property, and it was this one guy had bought a house by one of my properties, and I seen the garbage there, and later on I seen it at one of my on my commercial property, so I knew exactly who had dumped it, and I went and talked to the guy about the thing, and he got on the guy, so he quit working with that fella. But the thing here is that we as Milwaukeeans need to keep Milwaukee much cleaner. I remember when I was younger, Milwaukee was very clean, very clean. And for now, these young folks, I only can imagine what their home looked like, because the way they dump this garbage, they come past you, they right by one of my buildings, and they get to the stoplight, throw the garbage out. Big garbage bags full of garbage. Come on now. Yeah. But we got to keep on working on it, and each one tell one, hey, let's clean up Milwaukee. We got to do better. We got to do better, because it is just filthy out here. All right.
Wow. Caller, welcome to the program. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, Keith. Good morning to Priscilla, Coggs-Jones.
Good morning.
And the rest of the individuals in the studio. Most of this garbage is coming from people driving their vehicles. And is there a possibility that we can get some signs out in the community, maybe on some of the boulevards that, maybe pertains to keeping the city clean? Do you think that might help? Maybe if somebody would see a sign, they might say, well, yeah, maybe I need to keep this in my car and take it home and throw it away.
I do believe that there needs to be better messaging, like we spoke about earlier, in addressing some of the concerns that we're seeing in our community with the trash. And it's just a sense of taking pride in where you live and where you travel, where you work, etc. And the more you know, the better you do. And I just feel like there is a lack of education when we're talking about this, because we're speaking about global warming, we're speaking about other things that is a ripple effect of this. And like the DARE campaign that came out when I was in elementary school at that time, I feel like that same initiative and effort needs to be addressed across the board. And if we can't expect government to do it, then we as a community should do it ourselves.
I agree. Do we have any literature programs in schools that pertain to keeping the city clean and not littering?
Not yet, but I think that may be an initiative that we as a community probably should do moving forward.
That's surprising to me that we don't have that in our schools, because this is where we teach our children, and we don't have it in the schools. I mean, these kids that come home and let their parents, they could tell their parents, hey mom, hey dad, don't throw that out the window of the car. So I think that's something that we need to push for.
I agree.
So that little behinds out. But you know what? I think it's just like there was a prohibition on billboards that sold tobacco because the messaging was such that it increased smoking. I would think that the inverse would be true if we just had where every place should, because Keep America Clean goes back to Lady Bird Johnson in the 60s. Mm-hmm. But that was an ad campaign. That's where we see the indigenous person with that tear. Mm-hmm. But that was a national campaign.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know how much money they actually put into cities, because cities are probably going to deal with this more than anything just because of concentration of population.
Absolutely.
Right? We're going to generate more trash just because it's just more people. And then in a concentrated area, you do the math. Still with us?
Actually, okay. I do have to run out.
Okay, well, give us the information that we need on Earth Day.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I am pledging a campaign to ask of those either residents or business owners to take a part in this pledge, where you are accountable for the way that either your home front looks or your storefront or your business, etc. It's about empowering the people. So if you're willing and open to taking this campaign and this pledge, you can contact the office of 13th District. Chandra will be more than happy and willing to assist you. That telephone number is 414-278-4265. If you're looking to do a cleanup and you would like to be a part of a cleanup or need to be a part of a cleanup, you can contact the office as well. I just want to thank everyone who has assisted me with this. Eddie and Aaron with the messaging, Chandra at the office. Keith, thank you for allowing me this time to speak. And as we can tell from the callers, it's a need, it's a want there. So let's go out there and match that energy. Folks, continue to call your elected and voice your concern. I love to hear the messaging today. And I do believe that we need to get a campaign and messaging to empower the people for them to take more pride and have more value about where they live.
County Supervisor Priscilla Coggs-Jones of the 13th Supervisory District, thank you. We talk about Earth Day. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
You're listening to Community Voice. We're going to take a break and be right back.
That soul-stirring gospel Easter bash is gonna be a bash you don't wanna miss at Abundant Face, located at 7830 West Good Hope Road. The Captain Spirituals. Come on now, Spencer Taylor and the Highway QCs. The fabulous Luckett Brothers, Pastor Tim Rogers and the Phillips is gonna be in the house. Bishop Neil Robeson, Reverend R.L. Bush and the Revived Church. Willie Rogers, Terry Willie Banks Jr. and the Messengers. Curtis Eubanks. Now get your tickets at the New Pitts Mortuary. Call 414-447-6000.
Milwaukee's African American community for more than 60 years. Serving a broad region, it reaches listeners in Milwaukee, Kenosha, Racine, Beloit, and Menominee Falls. In addition to traditional radio, WNOV can be accessed globally through platforms like TuneIn app, the app that features only African American radio stations play Ode, Live 365, and via Facebook and YouTube streams, allowing listeners to engage with the station's shows live or on demand. With its commitment to broadcasting both national and local voices, WNOV provides a platform for shout-outs, community concerns, and the passions and visions of its personalities and guests. To stay connected, visit our website at WNOV860.com.
860 AM 106.5 FM. WNOV, The Voice. You're inside Community Voice on WNOV 860 AM and 106.5 FM with your host, Keith Parris.
Welcome back to Community Voice. And again, the phone lines are open 414-444-5250, 414-444-5250. We got a few minutes left in the program. So Luka dropped 45 at home.
Yeah,
welcome back.
Yeah, welcome back. Welcome. Hey, but all while he was scoring, they was cheering, "Fire, Nico."
Yeah. I was trying to figure out what that was. Okay.
Yeah, it was Fire, Nico. Yeah, but I think, I mean, from the stuff that I've seen and heard, and just just digging a little bit, I think ownership put Nico out in front to take the hit. But with this whole thing that ownership wanted to build a casino and the city wouldn't let them.
Mark Cuban sold the team, right?
He sold the team to the new owners, and the new owners wanted to build a casino. And they wouldn't let him.
Jerry built Jerry World.
Yeah. Yeah, he did. He did, man. He did. He most definitely did. And I think, it's people with billions that's fighting each other.
Mm-hmm.
And so they was like, well, since you're not going to let me do that, then we'll just trade the person that's bringing all the money in.
Let me, and you're talking about these billionaires. Michelle and I and Jermaine were talking about this before I came on the air. Part of my fiduciary responsibility is being a talk show host, and certainly doing it where we talk about current affairs and issues, is that you have to really watch a lot of news, read a lot of news. Yeah. And I don't know if Americans will truly appreciate how close to the brink we got. The stock market, and when you're looking at the numbers, and you need to go back to January. The stock market at that point was at 44,000 points.
Wow.
And there had been a slow erosion of wealth. So what does that mean? They've estimated that based on what happened starting last week and culminating, and I'm looking at, I think there's been a big rebound yesterday once the news was put out that he was putting a 90-day halt on the tariffs. But something else happened. Across the board now, there's a 10% tariff on goods coming into America. We don't know what the situation is with Canada in terms of aluminum and lumber, and then what's going on with Mexico. But they're estimating that the economy lost about $8 trillion. This is just incredible, just based on a week, but that's slow erosions. What moved Trump? wasn't the stock market. What moved Trump was the bond market. And there was panic in the bond market. And they said, had it not been addressed, you would have had something called a choke. The choke means that now currency could be tied up. So little things like you going to the ATM trying to get cash, you may or may not have been able to get cash if it had really played out in the way that it was going. And because they said Elon Musk lost about $45 billion and probably more than that.
Yeah.
The tech stocks, I mean, it was, and part of it is, and everybody's trying to describe what Donald Trump is, who Donald Trump is. But the damage that's being done to the economy. Now, first of all, when he came in, the only thing he was really done, I shouldn't say only, it was a big deal, was inflation. Inflation had been going down in 2024, right? But then he was able to come in because if you understand his history, he has been a fan of tariffs since the 80s. He really believes this. And then because of his lack of understanding of deficits and trade deficits and understanding that America, for example, people say, well, we need to give American jobs. And so we have this nostalgic kind of view of what a manufacturing job looks like. They don't look the same. Even if you look at how they build a car in Detroit, there's a whole lot of robotics involved. Now, from a practical perspective, it makes sense. But at the same time, we're saying, well, people need to keep their jobs. But if they said if you build a factory, it takes about 2 to 3 years to get a factory up and operating. We're talking about in peacetime and wartime. You'd be surprised how quickly a factory can get up to respond to war. But in peacetime, it takes 3 to 4. And most economists are saying those jobs are not coming back. You're nostalgic for something that was 40 years ago. It's been in the making. And whether Americans want to accept a level of responsibility and accountability for this is that we want cheaper goods, right? We want to be able to, in our minds, afford the Jordans. They didn't know what was going on. So where the rest of the world got the Nintendo Switch, the new one, not yet, because they don't know what the price of that, because of the uncertainty. So, people, and then people say, give it time. But if you sit up looking at your 401k and you're at the point where you want to look at retirement and you realize that it has lost so much in terms of, if you're at 44%, at 44,000, let's say 44,000, and now we're at 39,000, that's a $5,000 drop since the beginning of the year. That's been 2 months.
That's a huge drop.
Big drop. And so and then you have, they said about 60% of the American population is tied into the stock market one way or the other, whether you're day traders, whether this your 401k, because many of the companies that you work for now don't have a fixed pension. We were just talking about the pension here. Milwaukee County, City, Milwaukee City, Wisconsin, they all have fixed pensions. If you're going into other situations, private sector, your retirement is your 401k. And so that means that now it is at the end. Stock market dropped by 1,100 points.
Wow.
And just in case, because we were all over here dealing with the stock market, the House just approved the blueprint with drastic cuts to programs. Now they have to do it in reconciliation. So now they're going to have a conference in order to reconcile the Senate bill with the House bill. I was surprised at where the Senate bill was in terms of cuts to domestic spending. It was only about $4 billion. The House is talking about close to $1 trillion. They want to pay for the tax cuts. Where are you going to cut? You're going to cut Medicaid. And at some point, then you're looking at Social Security and you're looking at Medicare. Now, if you're not a recipient, you say, what's the big deal? But
that's selfish.
Will it be there when you're ready to retire? So that's kind of where we are. This has been the longest 3 months I've had in a long time.
Man.
Caller, welcome to the program.
90 days feel like, 3 years.
I know, it feels like forever. It's like, man, shouldn't we be out of this already? Caller, welcome to the program.
Good day, Keith. This is Rick calling you from Germany, brother.
Hey, Rick.
I got 2 comments on your cleaning up the neighborhood
commentary. Frances Cress Welsing. We all love her when she's pointing the finger at white folks and talking about white supremacy and racism. But when she turns it around and asks us to do something, like not throwing trash in your neighborhood or waiting to have babies until you're financially and psychologically ready, we get silent and fade away. And second, it's not just people in cars, but there is a criminal element that is playing a game with the police and political establishment, thinking that if they encourage young people to throw down their trash, they will somehow force the establishment to give cleaning jobs to Black Americans. This is a farce. I'm done.
Appreciate you. Caller, welcome to the program. Good morning.
Morning, Keith.
Good morning.
Hey, bud. How are you this morning?
I'm doing all right.
That's good. So let me just ask you a couple of things. I got two train of thoughts here. Do you want to speak on something international that I got a lot of information to provide, or do you want me to stay within the inner structure in terms of what's going on with our community? Which one you feel is more important at this point right now?
Well, what do you have on the national level?
Well, that gets a little involved and it takes a little time, and I don't think I have that time. It's not too. I kind of broke it down with notes because there's been a lot of research, but the research basically comes through Otis Moss. Are you familiar with him?
Otis Moss III there at Trinity United Church of Christ in Chicago? Yeah.
Yes, sir. Have you did any research lately on his last findings of the Project 2025?
No, I think I have. I heard his response to erasure and what we should do to support Black historical institutions, primarily the National Museum of African American History. That's where I am with Otis Moss III.
Okay, that's great. I appreciate hearing that. But what I want to kind of try to interject here is that I guess I'm going to put that on hold till next week, and we can probably revisit that. And because what it does, it really, truly, honestly draws the dot. It connects the dots of how Trump got to this place that he is today. And but I want to leave that be, because I'm going to talk to you real quick about this. I went out, let me just put it like this. I did 2 different weekends on Saturday evenings from 7 to about midnight throughout the various communities. I don't know, Metcalf, Highland Park, all of our various, areas within our city and that. And my concern was focused in on the gas stations. Why? Because they are the breeding grounds for crime. They're on the perimeter within the cities. And a sister called in a little while ago, and I really appreciate her. She said something to the effect, our aldermen are uneducated, and she was hitting the point. She hit the nail right on the head. Why? Because, let me just ask you, you might know this real quick before I keep going real quick, and I'll be done. When is the next alderman election coming around?
2028.
Oh, that's far? Man.
Yeah, well, but because we've had a number of special elections or elections to fill vacant seats. But I think that last group was 2024, so it would be 2028. Let me say this about just my sense of the alder people that I know. that they are no, because I mean she kind of made this. They don't know what they're doing.
Well, it was a blanket statement, and I hear you, brother. Don't you didn't comment in, so don't let me do my time here now. I get you, but go ahead, man. Go ahead.
I fell back.
Huh?
I fell back.
No, bro, go. I want you.
No, all I was going to say very quickly was that even when you talk with Supervisor, Coggs-Jones, there are some restraints that they have in terms of budgetary things and resources to be able to address some of the issues that have been identified, right? And
she's a different level of.
But I'm not going to say that they don't know what they're doing.
I won't say that. I didn't say that.
No, I know you didn't, but the sister did, and I'm just saying that I don't agree with that assessment because they do know. Now, have we had some aldermen down there who were questionable? Yeah, I would say that. But my interactions with the ones, especially the black aldermen that I've dealt with, they're aware of the issues that their communities are facing. They're trying to address that, but you're trying to do it with a limited, because some of these things require resources, money, right? It requires personnel. And how do we have that? For example, if we had just our city forestry people out just cleaning up trash, there's still other things they need to do in terms of their work. What is that called? Arbor, when you're maintaining the trees. So, we're looking at, when I grew up here, Milwaukee could afford the socialism that we had, that we have seen an erosion of the tax base, which means that a lot of what we like to see happen is difficult to happen because we might not have the money to see it happen.
I get that, brother. But let me just go here, and I would have hoped that you would have addressed her at that particular time in depth. You seem passionate about what you're saying, but what I'm here to say is this. Let me just get this thought out. So I did a survey. I helped my son, who is he's a tanker. He comes into the communities and he fills the gas stations oil.
Mm-hmm.
He's a trucker, basically. Trucker, tanker, whatever. And I told him I needed. What the heck? We okay? You okay? You there?
No, I'm talking to the producer. You good?
No, I was hearing a lot of ringing and stuff. But anyway, so what I developed, and I did this a long time ago. Let me ask you: are you aware that they're putting a substation in Milwaukee Marketplace down in the 3rd Ward?
What station?
A substation for the MPD.
No.
Okay. So back in the 2008, I may be wrong on the date, we had a variety of substations. You were here, you know, we had a variety of substations in the communities where individuals could come, and there was always an officer on duty, and you could talk to them. And if you need to, you could give them information. If you want to call it snitching, so what? It's snitching, so what? So, but it was informative, and it was helping the law enforcement to track certain areas that needed eventually to be shut down.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm saying to you is, and this is critical stuff. So one thing we need is substations within our communities, throughout the municipalities of our community. No question. Do you agree or no?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, when you were speaking of that, they have done a police house over
radio up. That's
over in the I don't know if it's not the Atkinson Triangle, but that area right over there off of 27th and Atkinson.
Okay.
Yeah, that because Keon used to always be on that. What do they call it? That spot there on the corner. And how it what was it? The hot spot, and how it was a incubator, they thought, for crime.
Sure.
So the police put cameras in that area, and they put, I guess it would be a substation. They're calling it like a house, but they've taken over a house there. I think you can do that. There might be some people, though, well, anyway, who still view the police as an occupying force, but that's a different piece. But the people in the neighborhood really want to see a cessation of crime and other things that's going on in that neighborhood. So
I guess I'm gonna present this question to you, and it's not a challenge.
I wanted to put a challenge to the radio station. And by the way, for Debo and for Jermaine, I appreciate you brothers just as well. I love y'all's input. And I just want to say to Debo, man, if I don't have you on Saturdays, man, I don't know what I'm going to do in my life. But anyway.
You can't do that in Keith's show, man. He gets really, you know.
I don't care, man. It's an encouragement. It's an entertainment.
Hey, Debo.
Yes, sir.
I think people are confused of your schedule. Can you give them when you do your program just so people clear?
Yeah, I think they know.
Okay.
Let me get back to keeping it real.
But you know what, man?
Keeping it real.
That is also not the name of this program.
I got you, Keith. I'm okay with you, bro. Bro, it took me a while to get comfortable with you, man.
Yeah, welcome to the difference.
Come on,
and
man.
that is not the name of this show.
That's not the name of the program either. I gotta go, man. I'm at the top. I gotta go, man. I can't believe this. I heard somebody had called in and gave me some nice accolades.
Oh yeah, on Shell Show.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Okay, then it's all fair.
Keith, you're trying to dump me right away, and I didn't get to
No,
my
we're
point.
out of time. No, seriously. I gotta go.
Can I catch you tomorrow and finish this?
Oh man, tomorrow's Friday. You know, it's free flow Friday.
I don't want to talk. This is serious. I ain't a free flow.
Okay, well, we'll see how.
God bless you, though,
Bless
brother.
you, man.
God bless you.
All right.
Okay.
Let me thank Supervisor Priscilla Coggs-Jones. Debo, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Jermaine, thank you.
Yes, sir.
You got Lord willing, Creek don't rise. Hope to talk to everybody tomorrow. And as always, go from this place in peace.